Hello, what is up? My name is The Feral. Welcome to Feral Swim Tech. This is the online show where I take user-submitted video and I go over it. I analyze the video, figure out what stroke technique problems should be addressed first, and I help you get faster. A little bit about myself before I get started. I did competitive swimming for over 15 years, started in the 3rd grade and finished off 4 years as swimming for Brigham Young University. I was an All-American back in high school, and I wound up first team All-Conference one of my years, and an academic All-American as well. I have thoroughly enjoyed the sport of swimming. I've been doing private coaching for over 10 years now, and yeah, I love helping people get faster. So, if you got any questions whatsoever, please hit me up right here in the email, theferal@gmail.com. Feel free to email me with any questions about swimming. If you would like me to analyze your footage, please shoot me an email, DM me on Discord, on Facebook. I am the officially unofficial stroke technique coach for Team Zoot's affiliate team, self-proclaimed. I do a live stream with Team Zoot on their Facebook page. So that's why I've dubbed myself the unofficially official stroke technique coordinator. So anyway, today's topic comes from a Discord user named Ervin, who is on Lionel Sanders' Discord. If you want a fun Discord to be a part of, that's the one to be a part of. We have a good time in there. We had a rousing discussion about pool sanitation the other day. It was good fun. So, I have Ervin's footage here, and we are going to go through it. Currently, let me see. I can't remember what Ervin said. Let's see here. He said that he has gone about 5 seconds faster since his original footage, which I'll show later. He sent me some early footage. And then a bunch of months later, he worked on his technique, and he was able to drop 5 seconds per 100 using the current technique. I'm pretty certain we can get him faster. But full disclosure, this is not my footage. I did not take this footage. This footage was supplied to me by Ervin for me to review. My goal here is not to replace your coach. I'm only here to act as an independent observer, give you ideas, give you ways to work on certain techniques. If you have a coach that you are working with, I recommend you have him watch this as well so he can get a better understanding of kind of my thoughts on this, and if he wants to incorporate it, he's more than welcome to. So let's get started here. So this is, we're going to start off with slow current. He has 3 separate speeds that he has done this. This is in an endless pool. So there is a current generator on this side, and they just have a stationary camera underwater. So essentially, she's on a water treadmill. So a couple things that I'm noticing is his back posture is very, very indented. So, like right here, you see that there is a prominent curve upward in his spine. So you can even see it right here. Like his whole chest is just a gigantic water break. So you'll see it more in the faster videos. But number one thing we're going to talk about is back posture. His back posture is very top heavy, so his face is kind of near the surface, but his legs are nowhere near the surface, at least in this clip. So if you continue to move onward, another thing that we see is a very deep initial catch. You see right here, when he is rotating to his side, his arm is about a foot and a half underwater. Oh, also, Ervin, I know you're across the pond. I do not speak metric, so you're going to have to do the conversions on your own. But his arm before the catch is really, really deep. There is a main reason we want to avoid this at all possible. Because if I have my arm out here, and if it's straight, like Ervin's arm right now is nice and straight. But the more you push down before you catch that water, the more you're allowing the water to grab your arm and actually push you backwards. Because essentially, what you need to understand is, even though you're moving forward in water, you have to treat water like it's the asphalt and the wind at the same time when you're on the bike. You want to get your body positioned as aero as possible. You want to avoid big gaps that you're underwater where the water is actively pushing against you. So instead of the wind pushes you backwards. When you're moving forward in water, it is simply actively slowing you down. All right? So, because, well, here in this endless pool, it's actually legitimately going to be pushing him backwards. You'll see it when he gets up to tempo. He actually legitimately moves backwards in the frame. But what you need to understand is that even if you're not on an endless pool, this position will actually impede your progress. We'll get into how to fix this in a little bit, but that's one of the main other things that I'm seeing. But we'll check this right arm out. You see right here, it immediately goes deep in the water, and then right here, he actually starts to correct it, but it's actually going out to the side. You'll see it in the front footage. So then he leaves it out there for a really long time. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? The turnover rate needs to get a little bit faster. Just a little bit. And the way we're going to do that is by eliminating that dead spot in the front of the stroke. What you need to watch for... Yeah. He actually has a really good recovery. He almost gets full extension on that recovery before it hits the water. But the problem is he lets that hand sit in there for far too long before he allows it to take his pull. And that usually is just number one, it's a rhythm issue. Number two, it's typically because you've allowed yourself to become complacent with a slow stroke cadence, where instead it's going 1, 2, 1, 2, you go 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so all we have to do is eliminate that. We have to eliminate the dead area. Okay, so let me show you this real quick. So essentially what Ervin's doing is 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, all he needs to do is just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right? It's adding, all you're doing is upping your stroke rate by eliminating dead spots. Okay? You're eliminating dead spots in your stroke by simply grabbing that water sooner. All right? In theory, all this is going to do is add maybe 4 to 5 strokes per length. But overall, this is going to allow you to operate a lot more efficiently because you are spending more time generating power rather than allowing that dead spot to actually slow you down. So here's the way to really think about this. I do not have a lot of experience on the bike, but the one thing that I know for certain is that you want to continuously be pedaling, and you want to adjust your cadence to where you're continuously pedaling and you're basically putting about the same amount of pressure on the pedals for each stroke. Swimming for the arms, we essentially want to do the same thing. We want that right arm and left arm continuously moving, but at the same time putting the same amount of pressure on. So what I want to show you is I want to show you a footage of me pulling with paddles. Now what this is going to do is this is going to show essentially what a good stroke rate looks like. And hold up, let me do this. Let me shift that over there. Okay. So this is going to show you what the ideal stroke rate is in terms of simply not letting your arms stop. Now this was filmed in 2020, so So you see, when my hands come forward, they're automatically engaging the water. Now, these are large paddles, so you have to excuse the fact that they will actually float out there a little bit longer, but that's just because I'm trying to grab the water as soon as I can. So what you're seeing is as my hands come forward, they are grabbing that water down. They're grabbing that water and immediately pushing them backwards as soon as I possibly can. So what we want to do is we want to eliminate that dead spot as much as possible. So now what we're going to look at here, we're going to look at the top of that side, and this should be in theory the same footage as we were watching underneath the water. So what you see here is that hand stays forward a long time each time. See, dead space, dead space, dead space. All that dead spot, that is actively slowing you down because you're spending too much time just letting that arm be out in front before you start the catch. Now, let's compare Ervin to where he was before. Now, this is what we like to call textbook catch-up drill. This is textbook catch-up drill right here. So right arm comes out, left arm pulls, right arm pull, right arm, left arm, right arm, left arm, okay? You want to avoid this as much as possible. Now, catch-up drill does have legitimate value. It's really good for just kind of focusing on one arm pull at a time, but the problem is you see here, there's just so much dead space here. I'm convinced about 80% of swimmers that I watch that are over 2 minutes per 100, they all suffer from some sort of absolute dead spot in their stroke. In other words, a dead spot in your stroke is a part where your arms simply don't move. Now, in theory, the idea is it is okay to let that arm glide just a little bit when it goes forward. But Ervin, both early and current, I don't know when Ervin took this footage, but both of these of Ervin, they still have dead spots. Although the current ones have a lot less dead spot. So what we're seeing here is this is now with a faster current. I don't know how fast these currents are. I don't know what the pace is, but you can see that his stroke does slightly change when the currents are being applied. But something you'll notice here is as he is swimming, he is losing the battle with the current. Now I'm absolutely not making fun of him here, but what you're seeing here is you are seeing parts in his stroke where he has dead spots. He's not generating enough power to keep up with the current, okay? So what's going on is that the current is pushing him backwards, and as he, like right here, so right here, his whole head is practically underwater, his whole arm is practically underwater, and all of his hips are underwater. So what's happening here is he's creating too much surface area, and the water is pushing him backwards the entire time. So in order to overcome this, the swimming is all just like any cycling and swimming are actually extremely similar, where it is acceleration minus drag. That's what it is. Where running is pretty much how to go fast without destroying your body. That's pretty much it. But with cycling, there's a lot of that aerodynamic component into it. So in that aspect, swimming and cycling are actually very similar. We want to increase our power output and decrease the amount of drag that our body creates on the water. So, couple ways to reduce drag in this alone is, number one, what you want to focus on is trying to get that arm up towards the surface, that hand towards the surface when you reach. So right now so if you kind of keep your hand in line with your body, all right, he's now about here, okay? He wants his hand to be about here. And then when he reaches, you're going to bring your hand a little more towards your head, okay? So you want that arm to be kind of above you. So you're about here, you're about here, your arm wants to be about here, all right? So number one, get your hands more towards the surface at the peak of your recovery. In other words, that one point right when you transition from recovery to pull, all right? You do not want to let that hand sink before you catch the water. Now, I will openly admit, this is where I differ than most other coaches that I know of. Now, you may be thinking, well, all those other coaches, you know, they have experience and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, I'm looking at this with science here. I'm looking at this with physics. I have a master's degree in civil engineering. I design swimming pools and pump systems for a living. I kind of understand hydrodynamics. So here's the idea. The idea is if your arm is low, if my arm is low here in the water, okay? So my arm is down here before I start the pull. Number one, you got all that surface area, especially of that shoulder leading up into your face. All of this is pushing, the water is pushing against that, slowing you down. Number two, well, that's the main thing. So number two, the idea is if you're here and you grab that water first, when you're up, your hands up here at the surface, and then you grab that water, you are allowing yourself to get an extra at least 1 foot plus of pulling. So when you're here and you're grabbing here as opposed to down here and then grabbing, you're allowing yourself to create forward propulsion while your arm is getting in position. You're getting more bang for your buck. So instead of pressure, 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 drag, 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 you are getting propulsion, propulsion, boom, okay? Because this part doesn't really do much, but what it does is it sets your hand up in order to really engage the water. I don't have any real scientific proof to back this up, but since water is squishy, it takes a little bit of distance in order to actually engage the water. So if I try and grab the water here, it'll probably take me about here until I've actually fully put enough pressure on the water. So one thing I like about Ervin is Ervin actually is putting proper pressure on the water. I don't see a lot of slipping with the hand, where a lot of people, they tend to do this as they pull backwards. As they pull backwards, that's shunting all that water off. It's not providing that leverage. It's like I have a wall here, okay? If I try and grab the wall here, I'm going to be able to get a nice, good grip. Now, if I let my fingers come out, I'm going to slip off that wall a lot easier. We want to have our hand perpendicular to the water surface in order to grab the most amount of water. However, the idea is we want to grab it with our forearm, not our hand. If you grab with the forearm, you're going to get all this surface area of your arm helping out in propelling yourself forward by applying pressure to the water surface underwater. Okay. Number two, let's go back to the footage. Once again, if you have any questions about any of these things, you are more than welcome to email me. I would love to be able to discuss this. So, let's see here. Okay. So, now, next, head position. Head position is really low. There's some of these. Here's the fast one right here. So, he is almost 100% submerged at this point. There is barely any of his shoulders that is actually exposed to the air. The idea is we want our overall body position to be as close to the surface as we possibly can. We do not want to be fully submerged ever. The only time you want to be fully submerged is when you're diving in the water initially. That's the only time you want to be fully submerged. You want 3 points of contact with the surface at all times. Back of your head, your shoulders, oh, Shoulders, okay. Head's easy to do. Head's really easy to do because you can cheat and go. But shoulders, butt, feet. Those three things always want to be in contact with the surface. What I want to show you is here. Let's first look at the so right here you can see he is submerging himself almost every single time. He is really trying to go. He's trying to put a lot of oomph and pressure, but what he's doing is he's actually driving himself underwater, and you see he is very, very quickly losing the battle with the current. Now, this current was probably set higher than his capability, so he is literally fighting for his life at this point, figuratively. But what you can see here is he's putting so much emphasis on trying to muscle the stroke instead of utilizing his body to propel himself forward. He's simply relying on brute strength. And here's another thing too. We'll get into this in a second because you can really see it here. The legs scissor out real big on his breath, especially when he breathes to the right. There's the scissor right there. And left and right. Okay? You see all that separation? That is a huge scissor. Okay? Scissor. He's scissoring his legs out. You want to avoid that as much as possible as well. Here's why. Here's why. Let me see here. Let me get my full screen back here. So, reason why we want to avoid this is you want to think of your body as a cylinder. Or like an oval, okay? Your body's an oval, all right? So anything outside of this oval, and this oval constitutes pretty much right at your chest bone. It goes all the way around your shoulders and meets at your spine. So you kind of have this oval shape that you are continuously pushing through the water, okay? That's your oval. That doesn't change. You can't magically suck everything. You can't suck everything in and make your rib cage smaller. Your rib cage around your chest, around your rib cage, around your back. Pretty much right here is going to be your largest surface area that you're trying to get through the water. So the idea is we want to float that oval so as much of it is over the surface that we possibly can. So instead of having this whole oval underneath the water, you have maybe half the oval underneath the water. So that automatically reduces a ton of surface area that is being smacked by water every single time you take a stroke forward. So, what are other ways that we can catch the water and make ourselves exert more drag? Okay? Drag forces versus propulsion forces. We want to make more propulsion forces. We want to create less drag forces. Basic Newtonian physics. Propulsion drives you forward. Drag forces are continuously making you stop. Okay? In swimming, it's the most obvious because you're swimming through water, which is a viscous fluid. It is not air. It is actively trying to make you stop. You take 5 pedals on the bike on a flat road, you're going to glide a certain distance. You take 5 strokes in the water, you are going to glide a significantly less distance. That is because there is a lot more. Number one, your bike is a heck of a lot more, there's a lot less friction on the bike. There's a lot more friction in the water. So, when we drive our body position up, what are other factors that create more of a surface area? Number one, your pull. We just discussed this right earlier. We want to get that pull as compact towards our body, yet in the position to where we're actually grabbing something. We can't pull with our hands so close to our body because then we're not really grabbing anything. We don't want to pull all the way down here because number one, we're using really weak muscles. The further our hand, here, let me scooch out here. I am at the max length of my thing. So if your arm is all the way down here, so imagine water level is right here, okay? Water level is right here. If I'm trying to pull with my arms all the way forward, in other words, my arm is reaching down to the bottom of the pool as much as possible, you have all of this surface area that is so far down underneath the water, it creates a gigantic what's called a moment arm. And that moment arm is actually keeping you from moving forward. Actually, I lied. That's a really bad discussion of moments. We'll save that for another day, okay? But anyway, you're creating so much you're creating so much of a surface area deep into the water, and you're engaging more of your shoulder muscles, which are a heck of a lot weaker. So if we go from here to about here, okay, my arm's at about a 90-degree angle. We grab here, bring it to that 90-degree angle, push down. Here, we're going to grab a lot more we're going to be a lot stronger in the water. We're engaging a lot of our muscles on the front side of our body. Heck of a lot more strong than the stuff on the upper shoulders, which is what happens when you have a really deep catch and what I like to call the half moon pull. You start here, you draw a full half circle with your hand, with your arm extended, just kind of like you have a protractor back in the day. You have a full arm pull that makes a half moon, and it's really weak. So what do we have? So now I've talked all about that. So we're talking about ways that we increase surface area that increases the drag forces. Kick is the last one. Your kick, in theory, should be about like this. Okay? It should be like this. Nice straight legs. Okay? Here's the bottoms of my feet. This is my knee joint. Your kick should be about like this. Okay, maybe a little bit with the knees like this. But in reality, this is how your legs should be. Now, what's happening is Ervin's legs, when he takes a breath, his legs shoot out wide. Okay? His legs go wah, and then they get back into the kick. So what he's doing is he's using the scissoring to aid in the rotation. That's usually the common cause of scissoring with freestyle kick, especially when it's done right during the breath. So what we want to do is we want to recognize this. Ervin is using his legs in order to aid in the rotation. So what we want to do is we need to learn how to rotate the body without scissoring the legs out. So even when you're on your side, your legs stay like this instead of going kick, 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 in order to rotate the shoulders. What you want to do is you want to utilize more of that drive with the arm and reach yourself forward. Now, you may be saying, but wait, Farrell, hold up. You spent a lot of time talking about how you don't want that shoulder down. Right there. Get that arm up and then grab and then down, okay? You're going to extend out and up slightly just so the fingertips are at the surface. Because then that water is going to be pushing against you, but it's going to be projected downward. That actually will help you with your body positioning. Okay, if you stay here, get your arm a little up towards the surface, the resultant of the vector, yes, we're talking about vectors here, kids, physics 101 right here. If your arm is in this position, water hits your hand, it will have a component that is driven down. You move in the opposite direction. You push against water. You hit here, water is shunted downward. That will lift you up. All right? So that helps you maintain a high body posture. Okay? So now, in order to properly rotate and breathe, you want to reach forward and get onto your side and forward and reach forward. Okay? And there. Stroke, 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 stroke. All right? So, you engage your breath stroke by reaching rather than scissoring. Okay? You don't want to scissor your legs out. That creates a ton of drag, and it also totally screws up your rhythm with your actual stroke. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I want to now show a video of me swimming a 100 freestyle. We'll just get into it. So what you want to see is shoulders are up, butts out of the water, feet are out of the water. Now, this is about a 58.3 pace, 58.3 seconds for a 100 freestyle. I totally died at the end of this thing. So what you want to see here is watch the upper body is up near the surface of the water the entire time. My legs, my feet are kicking outside of the water almost every single kick. Now, I will openly state this is my sprint stroke. I still haven't gotten my distance stroke filmed yet. I just haven't done it. I'll be brutally honest. So that's that. So, oh shoot. Oh my gosh. You know what I just realized? Holy crap. Okay. Let's do this again. Frito, edit all of that out. Whenever anything goes wrong on stream, I blame it on Frito. Frito is my made-up imaginary computer bot that makes sure I don't screw up, and he totally dropped the ball. So anyway, what you're seeing here is right here. So shoulders, butt, and feet. Okay. Those three parts are outside of the water at all times. Like I said, this is a 58.3 pace for a single 100. Yeah, no way I could do that right now. No. I couldn't. I used to could go this faster than this on distance events. Not now. Not at 38 years old. No, I ain't doing that. But this is what we're talking about. We want to have the head, the shoulders, and the butt, and the feet near at or on top of the surface at all times. Okay, so, oh shoot, oh come on, I hate it. Come on, why are you being a jerk? Why are you being a jerk? Yeah, we'll just go back to these. Okay, so what we're seeing here is his feet are getting out a little bit, but his butt is completely underwater the entire time. He buries his face in the water in order to really muscle that stroke backwards. Okay, so that's about it. That's about it for the footage review. Pretty much hit every single piece that I wanted to hit. So overall, what are the next steps? What are the next steps? So, step number one, you're going to want to work on your body positioning. You want to get that body position up near the surface as much as possible. Like I said before, number one thing you want to work on is trying to get those arms up towards the surface. And what you want to do is fix your lower back positioning so you're not reaching up towards the surface with your head, but you're allowing your spine to be a little more neutral. Okay, I like to think of, kind of bringing the shoulders forward slightly. So instead of here, you're about here. Okay, so you want to have a little bit of tension on your shoulders coming forward, and you want to maintain that tension all the time. Just this. Literally, that's all you got to do, because then that creates a chain reaction in your lower spine, and that'll actually help bring it forward. So the idea is your hips are a teeter-totter, a seesaw, okay? You bring your hips down, you bring your back backwards, you're headed towards the surface, your hips and your legs are going to drag on the ground. But if you allow those shoulders to come forward just a little bit, that's going to help tip the scales so that your lower end will actually come more towards the surface. Okay, so next, want to work on trying to get that arm up closer near the surface. What that's going to do is that's going to eliminate a ton of drag, and it's going to actually add a little bit of lifting forces into your stroke, so that should help you raise your body even higher. But I would say one of the number one things that you need to really work on is your stroke tempo, okay? So number one, lower back. Bring your back forward just a little bit in order to work on getting that body positioning up more towards the surface. Number two, you need to focus on getting those hands a little more closer to the surface. Don't let that elbow and arm drop underneath the water. Number three, we want to focus on eliminating dead spots in our stroke. Ervin, what you need to do is instead of allowing your hand to extend for a second, second and a half, when it extends, grab, 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 grab. All right? So the grab is this, okay? Your arm is outstretched. Grab that water. Push it backwards, okay? The idea is you're grabbing a brick. You are reaching up, okay? Here, let me tilt this up. So you're reaching up, grabbing a brick with your arm extended and pushing it down. Grab that brick, push it down. Grab the brick, push it down, all right? Because you want to treat water like it's a solid. You want to actually grab a solid brick, push it backwards. And the last thing you want to work on is tightening up that kick. Don't allow your kick to splay out. Do not allow them to scissor out while you're taking a breath. You want to focus on kicking like your feet are in a bucket, okay? Kick like your feet are in a bucket. Keep that kick nice and tight. You get nothing out of pushing everything out to the side. I believe you are scissoring your legs in order to create rotational force in order to get on your side to take your breath. If you allow yourself to reach forward, you will do the same thing and you'll keep your kick nice and compact, thus reducing the amount of drag force. Yeah, I think with those three things, those will definitely get you in the right direction. I think your biggest bang for the buck is going to be fixing your cadence, probably your body positioning. Your kick's a little more small potatoes. If you really work on your cadence and work on rotating in order to take your breath, I think the kick will take care of itself. I think that's about it. I mean, there's not a lot of. Well, the only thing that I can think of that will really help is streamline kicking for your body positioning at least. Get yourself in front of a mirror and reach straight up to the ceiling. You want to reach straight up to the ceiling. So, and then you want to see what happens when you tense your back, bring your back backwards, and then round your shoulders forward. Then tense it backwards. Feel the muscles contract in your lower back, and then feel them kind of relax and round out as you bring your shoulders forward. Then what you want to focus on is when you're in the pool, you want to see if those same muscles contract as you swim. Focus, just do a 25 or 50 of just a mindless swim. Just very easy stroke. Don't really focus on anything other than what's going on with your back. Does your lower back muscles contract, or are they kind of nice and loose? If they're nice and loose, you're kind of on the right track. You engage everything as you pull, but if you bring your back backwards, you're going to feel those muscles contract. That's what we want to avoid. If we do that, that's going to drive your hips downward. Next thing you want to do is you want to do some streamline kick. You want to put your hands in a streamline. Here, let me put this up. You want to put your hands in a streamline like this. Hand over hand. That top thumb comes over your hand. Squeeze your arms on either side of your head. And you want everything to be in line with your head, with your neck. Okay? This is a proper streamline kick. So then what you want to do is you want to do a 25 of streamline kick. So you're going to kick all the way across the pool, and you're just kind of looking down. Whenever you need to take a breath, either take a single stroke of freestyle. Actually, no. Take a single stroke of freestyle. Breathe, kick, 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 kick. Breathe, kick, 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 kick. What you want to focus on is you want to focus being as flat on the surface as possible, and you want to focus on kicking your leg as one single unit. Kick like this, not like this, okay? Kick with your leg as one single unit. So, then you want to do that for a couple 25s. You want to focus on feeling the air on your back, on your butt, and on your feet, okay? You want to focus on those three areas. Then next thing you want to do is you want to do a couple 25s of single arm pull. Now, this single arm pull legitimately will not push anything. It is like you are on a treadmill. Your kick is going to move you forward. Your kick is providing all of the propulsion. So envision you got a treadmill going. You set a can on the treadmill. It moves the can. That is what your hand is doing. Your hand is here, and it is moving backwards just because you put it in the water and you are moving forward as you are kicking, okay? What we're doing here is we're trying to somewhat engage the arms while maintaining that really high body position on the water, okay? You want to do that with your right arm, then do that with your left arm. Then what you want to do is you want to do it with both arms. Both arms. Just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, the stroke is going to be very slow, and it's going to have zero pushing power. No pushing. No pushing. No pushing power behind it. This is absolutely vital because what you're trying to do is you're trying to maximize the amount of surface area that you have above the water. And if you're able to do that while on the kick, you are able to maximize that. Now we got to add the arms back in without dropping the whole body position. So do that with zero power on top of the water, then gradually add in little bits of power and see at what power you feel yourself sink underneath the water. I did this with a pro triathlete a couple months ago, and he felt an immediate difference in his stroke where he said, wow, doing those couple of 50s has greatly, it's shown me the light of where I need to be. So now I can start going back to workouts and focusing on getting back to that body positioning. Because when he started going back to full speed, he started losing his body position again. So it's something you got to work on and noodle out and figure it out for yourself. So, Ervin, thank you so much for sending me this footage. I hope this helps legitimately. You got any questions at all, hit me up on the DMs, shoot me an email. You got any friends that you want me to look at their stuff, shoot me an email as well. I'd love to help you. For full disclosure, I do this as a free service. I do ask for donations. It's a pay what you want kind of a thing. I know that you're across the pond, so I'll get you a PayPal link. So if you are able to donate, I would greatly appreciate it. All donations go towards my triathlon fund and buying my kids some milkshakes. They love Del Choco mini milkshakes. If you haven't had them, they're one of the best, like fast food milkshakes you'll ever had. I don't know what they do. They're just fantastic. So anyway, that's where all donations go to. I'm upfront and honest about it. If you can't donate, simply give me feedback. I'm looking, one of these days I'm going to start my own website. I want to do this, you know, on a more permanent basis. But I have a full-time career and 3 tiny children. It's not going to happen. So once again, Ervin, thank you so much for helping me out. I'll get you that link. So if you can donate, great. If you can't, just give me feedback on it. That's all I ask for. Just give me feedback. I want to know how to help you more. So that's going to be it for Farrell Swim Tech. Once again, my name is John Farrell. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Keep up the training. Good luck to Lionel Sanders at PTO Dallas this Sunday. At the time of filming, the PTO Dallas is in a couple days. Good luck, Lionel. And until then, good night, Isaiah Norris. Wherever you are, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.